Okay, this is just a quick tutorial on canning beans. My kitchen's kind of a wreck because I've also been doing blueberries. First, you want to wash and break your beans, and then you're going to fill your jars, and I fill mine pretty full because once I pour the hot water on, they'll smush down. And then you add some salt. So these are pint jars. And so they have a half a teaspoon of salt, and I like real salt. So that's what I put in there. And then next, what I'm going to do, I've put all the beans in the jars, added the salts. The next thing I'm going to do then will be to pour hot water over it. So over here we have the boiling water, and I'm going to pour that in, and then I'll show you some more. Alrighty, and now we are pouring in the hot water. And when you pour in the hot water, you need to make sure that you're leaving about an inch of headspace. And it's going to be super hard to see on the camera, but I'm filling the jar so that there is space at the top. And the beans will settle a little bit as you do this, and there's some air bubbles, so you need to go back and kind of double check everything as you get them done. And then the way I was taught to do it is to use a knife in the jar to loosen it. Make sure that there's no air bubbles that are stuck down in there, so that would cause uneven heating. Okay, and that you can see, I think you can see that there's about an inch of headspace in the top of the jar. And so then you just go through and you do that with all of them. And then when you have those all done, you can see I'm going to need to add a little bit more water to this one. When that's all done, you're going to take a rag and you're going to wipe the top of the jar. Make sure that it's perfectly clean, because if there's any salt crystals or whatever from your adding the salt in, then the lid won't seal nicely. So once you get that done, then after they're all full with their water and you've wiped all the tops down, then we're going to go in and put the rings on. So I could feel salt as I went around that one. Okay, and so then once you've cleaned all the lids, you make sure everybody's ready to go, then you're going to put the flats or the lids on top. And I wash those first before I use them.
Thank you.
And you put them on. You can hear my children yelling as they go by. I think the baby's outside. And once you get all of those on, you're going to take the rings and you're going to screw the rings down on it. But you're only going to screw the ring down as tight as you can do it with both hands. So I will, after I set the camera down, I will tighten it with both hands so that it's tight. But you don't want to wrench it on all the way super, super hard. So you just want it to be on snug. And then once those all get on, while I'm doing this, actually, I am also over here heating my giant pot. So this is my canner, and it's well used, you can see. And in it, my instruction manual calls for 2 quarts of water. So the water is way down here because that's where it says it's supposed to be. And I have
Are you doing a video?
Hey, and yes, I am. Go play.
Okay.
And I have the rack in the bottom, so the jars won't actually sit on the bottom. So I'm heating the water while I'm getting the jars all ready, so that when they're finished, I can just put them in, put the lid on, and the water will be hot and getting ready to vent. Okay, so all my lids are on now, and you can see on the top of the lid how it's dimply, so that eventually it will seal. My focus is right there. There we go. So now you can see it. And so I'm putting them all in the canner, and my canner will hold 7 jars on the bottom, and sometimes I do a second layer. And you do a second layer by putting a rack in between. So you put all the jars in the bottom, put a rack in the middle, and then put another row of jars. So once I get all of this on, all of these in, then I will go ahead and I'll put on the lid. And once you get the lid on, then what you need to do is you need to vent steam out of the pressure canner. This brings it to the correct pressure. So for mine, you want to vent steam for 10 minutes, 9 or 10 minutes. So I will show you what that looks like. You guys trying to get to a place where you can really see the steam vent. It's hard to see the steam vent. You can see it's coming out a lot. And I set the timer so I know how long to set it for. And then when you have reached the correct amount of time for your pressure canner, you're going to put the petcock on. And then you will wait until the pressure gets to 10 pounds up here. So this little dial will move its way up to 10. And then you'll set the timer for 20 minutes because that's how long you need to pressure can green beans. So you can see the dials moving up. I'm not going to stand here the whole time because it takes a while, but then once it does get to the top where it gets to 10 pounds of pressure, then I start my timer for 20 minutes. And at the end of 20 minutes, I will turn it off, take it off the burner, and wait for it to cool down. See, now my pressure's gotten a little bit high, but it's okay. Better high than under. If it goes under the 10 pounds of pressure, then you have to start your timer over. And these are all done. My timer went off, and I'm going to set super cute down on the floor here. And then I'm going to move the pressure canner off the burner, and I will let it cool. There's a little on the back side back here. You can see this little button that sticks up, and the little button will go down when the pressure is all out of the pressure canner. And then you take the petcock off, and then I let it sit for a couple more minutes before I open it. And when you open it, the jars are super hot. So let's just slide this right off the burner. Be kind of careful. Alrighty. And you do not ever take the petcock off when it's full of pressure. Okay? You don't want to do that because it'll create a drop in the pressure, which you don't want to have happen. You want it to go down at its own rate. Okay? Okay, so now the pressure is back down to 0. And you can see that the little pressure device is down. And it's been sitting here for a couple minutes, so I'm going to take off the petcock. And you can see that there's no steam venting out of it or anything. And you can then unlatch the top and take it off. And then the jars, you'll notice, will look like they're boiling inside when you take them out. So hang on for a second, I'll show you that. So here is the inside of the canner. I'm gonna pull a jar of beans out. There they are, all done. You can see that they look like they're still boiling inside. That's because of the pressure difference. And then I just set them over here on a towel to cool because they are super hot. And that's 7 jars of beans down. When they cool off sufficiently, the top of the jar will pop. And you'll hear that ping that says that they're all done and sealed. If they don't seal, then you need to refrigerate them because they cannot be kept on the shelf. And green beans have to be pressure canned. You cannot water bath can green beans. For some reason, that's the question some people have. So anyway, this is how you pressure can green beans. And be nice to the kitty, please. So we'll be having tons of them apparently because I overplanted. That's how you do it.